Here we go. Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting will please come to order. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided in the following ways. Notice published in the Courier News, notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, notice made available in to the township clerk, notice sent to the Courier News and the Star Ledger. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Weissman,
Here.
Mr. Tillery,
Here.
Mr. Patel,
Here.
Mr. Reggio,
Here.
Mr. Blount. I thought I saw him. Mr. Hidaka, Mr. Mitterondo,
Here.
Mr. Ali,
Here.
and Chairman Cahill.
Here, will everyone please stand for a salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Keneally, do we have any changes to tonight's agenda?
Yes, we have several changes. Facefield LLP on 7th Street will be continued on January 23rd, 2025 with no further notice. Mary Jo Barnowski postponed until December 12th. They must notice the property owners list, but they have already published. On Switch, 51 New England Avenue is adjourned until December 12th, 2024 with no further notice. And Grand Homes Investment postponed to December 12th, 2024. Laura, did they notice?
Yes, they did.
So there will be no further notice required of them either. Those are all the changes that I have.
Thank you, sir. Let's start with item number 6, which is a discussion.
Is Haresh Patel present?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Patel, could you explain why you're back here?
I would like to request to remove the condition 3 and allow me to install the fence on my property line.
And what is the reason for that?
It cut down a lot of my area, and that I do not have enough space between my backyard in my backyard.
Mr. Chairman, you may want to speak with Mr. Mizrahi.
Jonathan, unmute. There you go.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if the board wishes to reconsider this, there are certain restrictions and additional conditions I would add on to this if you're considering allowing a revisiting of this matter.
I am allowing it at this point. If you could go through those revisions, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, so Mr. Patel, did you receive the utility markout that was part of your conditional approval?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, so what I'd like to, and Jim, let me know if this is okay. What I'd like to do is we can allow the fence up to the property line. We have to make sure that that utility markout happens. And I guess a memorandum basically saying, Mr. Patel, that you accept any responsibility and cost for repair associated with any damage to township utilities if you are installing the fence in this high-risk zone, so to speak.
Okay, yep, sure.
Okay, so you agree to those terms, Mr. Patel?
Do we know how high the fence is?
It's just 6 feet. The regular size, the standard.
Yeah, that's 6-foot vinyl, John.
Yeah.
The regular residential fence.
We're still going to require the deed restriction?
I think a memorandum of understanding is enough.
Okay.
Yeah. Memorandum of restriction.
Okay, any other members of the board have any questions or comments about this? Do I open it to public, Jim, or no?
Yes.
Okay, anyone in the public have any questions or comments about this, Mr. Patel?
No one, Chairman.
Okay, close the public portion. I make a motion to accept the terms of Mr. Take away the number 3 condition, putting it on the property line.
I second.
Can I get a call?
Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Tillery,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Reggio,
Yes.
Mr. Mitterondo,
Yes.
Mr. Ali,
Yes.
and Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Your application's been approved. We'll memorialize this in a written document and send that document to you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Let's move on to item number 7, 24-ZB-61V, Mark Dufour.
Is Mr. Dufour present?
He's on as an attendee. Mark, you have to unmute. He's not best with computers. We were practicing earlier.
Let's give him a couple seconds.
Okay, I am muted. Did
Okay,
that
Mr.
work?
Are you Mr. DeFore?
Yes, I am.
I need to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
Yes.
Okay, your name and address, please.
241 Grandview Avenue,
Thank you.
Piscataway.
Explain to the board why you're here, please.
I'm here to demolition my garage. It's in very disrepair. I've sort of became the executor of the property. My wife just passed away, and I'm trying to clean things up. And the demolition is one of the garage. It's beyond repair. And I want to take it down before somebody gets hurt. And I've already gotten complaints from the neighbors, and I'm trying to just make good here.
And the only variance here is whether or not you're going to require a paved driveway. Is that correct?
I've paid 24 feet from the sidewalk up to stop any more stones from going out into the road.
Jonathan, do you have any other comments to add?
Yes, a little bit of feedback. So I think with 24 feet being paved, I think that's satisfactory to township staff.
Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. Any other members of the board have any questions or comments?
How are you, Sean?
I'm getting so much feedback. I don't know if that was meant for me.
Yeah.
I-
Oh, it's gone.
I just, well, I
No,
muted him.
you muted him. That's okay. I saw that.
Sorry, Mark.
No other members of the board have any questions? Let's open it to the public. Anyone in the public have any comments or questions about this application?
No one, Chairman.
Okay, close the public portion. I make a motion to approve this application. Can I get a second? Good call.
All right, got Steve. Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Tillery,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Reggio,
Yes.
Mr. Blount, still not here, Mr. Hidaka, Mr. Mitterondo,
Yes.
Mr. Ali,
Yes.
and Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Mr. DeFore, your application has been approved. We will memorialize it in a written document at our next meeting, and we'll send that document to you. Good luck.
Good luck, sir. You're muted, but
Yeah, I
Oh.
muted.
that's good. Good luck. All right, let's move on to item number 8, 24-ZB-55V, Juan Torres.
Is Mr. Torres present?
Yes, I'm here.
Mr. Torres, I need to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Your name and address, and explain to the board why you're here, please.
My name is Juan Torres. I reside at 5 I applied for a fence permit back in late spring and received conditional approval based on 2 conditions. One, to move the fence line and move the shed was on the property when we purchased it. We've been there for 15 years. Just of the property, the seller's attorneys represented that all permits were viable. And so when I went to apply for to repair my fence, which has fallen into disrepair, it was placed as a condition that I move the fence out of the easement area and also move the shed, which is too close to the easement area. And so I applied for a bulk variance so that I could repair the fence and, kind of keep the footprint the same.
And you understand that if access to the easement is ever required, you would be responsible for the cost of removing and replacing the fence?
Isn't that what the bulk variance would address, though?
No, the bulk variance, if the board grants it, would allow you to put the fence there, but
Mhm.
it's still an easement. If access to the easement is ever required by the township, they would tell you, and you would have to remove the fence so that they could access the easement, and then you could put it back after they were done doing whatever they needed to do.
To your knowledge, is there anything there? I've 15 years, no one's ever come on the property.
and it's possible no one ever will, but since it's a recognized legal easement, we're required to request that you assume that responsibility if it ever occurs.
I'd rather not, but if this is the only way we'll get it to be, then so be it.
We don't,
The only way this board grants that variance is if you accept responsibility.
yeah, we don't approve it without that, sir.
All right, then I will live with those terms.
Okay. Jonathan, anything to add?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other members of the board have any questions or comments for this applicant? Hearing none, I'm going to open it to the public. Anyone in the public have any questions or comments about this application?
No one, Chairman.
Okay, hearing none, I'm going to make a motion to approve this application. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Tillery,
Yes.
Mr. Patel,
Yes.
Mr. Reggio,
Yes.
Mr. Mitterondo,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
and Chairman Cahill.
Yes.
Mr. Torres, your application's been approved. We'll memorialize this in a written document at our next meeting and send a copy of that document to you.
Thank you. Do I need to do anything else with regard to the fence permit? Do I have to
Yes, call me tomorrow, Mr. Torres.
Very well, thank you.
Have a good night, sir.
Likewise, take care.
Move on to item number 9, 24-ZB-56V Liberty Tech LLC.
Mr. Mangelli, present?
I am present. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. Rich Mangelli appearing on behalf of Liberty Tech LLC. Rosie Clement of the applicant is here, as is Mario Navedo, our architect. This is 1860 West 5th Street, Block 602, Lot 6 in the R-75 zone. We're proposing, Mr. Chair, to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new single-family home. The proposed house is a permitted use, conforms to all bulk requirements, with the exception of the minimum lot width and minimum lot frontage. This is a 50 by 200 foot lot. The board should know that the lots adjacent to us on each side, in fact, all the lots on this block are 50 by 200. So the applicant is unable to acquire any additional land to do it and to build a new house. So we're requesting relief from the lot frontage, the lot width, from allow the 50 feet. If I could offer our architect so he could explain the proposed dwelling to the board.
Please proceed.
Who is your architect?
Mario Navedo is here. Mario?
Hi.
I need to swear you in. Could you raise your right hand? You swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth.
Yes.
Your name and address, please?
Mario Navedo, Navedo, 1208 Lansdowne Terrace, Plainfield.
Thank you.
Mario, if you could just quickly share with the board your education and licensing, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mario Navedo. I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. I've been working as an architect for 11 years. I have 2 master's degree, one in master's in architectures and master's in architecture and sustainability.
I believe he can be accepted as an expert witness.
Thank you, counsel. Mario, if you could share with the board the proposed new dwelling.
Sure. So we are proposing a new single-family home, 2.5 stories, roughly 2,200 square feet, and 32.5 feet in height. This will be 4 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms, an attached garage, an unfinished full height basement, and an unfinished attic.
And Mario, does this proposed house fit in with the existing structures and existing homes on West 5th?
Yes, the proposed homes fits within the character of the neighborhood. There are similar 2-story single-family homes, such as 1852, 1862, 1866, and 1876, all within the same side of the street.
And Mario, I indicated to the board that we comply with all bulk requirements other than the minimum lot frontage and lot width. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you had an opportunity to review the October 21 report from the Division of Engineering and Planning. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do we agree, do we not, that the fiber optic conduit will be installed along the frontage of the property?
Yes.
And there was a recommendation that we extend the garage east 1.3 feet to limit the side yard setback and provide less relief from the code. Do we agree to do that as well?
We do. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Mr. Chair, I think that addresses the engineer and planning report. I would submit to the board that we meet the requirements of a C1 variance. This is a pre-existing non-conforming use with an existing structure. We have no ability to expand the lot width because the other properties, as I said, are also 50 feet wide. Certainly, there would be no impairment of the zone plan or the zoning ordinance insofar as this is a permitted use, and a new dwelling constructed in 2024 certainly wouldn't impair or have any negative impact on the surrounding neighbors. And we would submit that this house, it's a pretty good looking house, will be an improvement. And insofar as this is an existing single family dwelling, I think the applicant meets the hardship requirements and we'd request the variance.
Thank you, Mr. Angeli. Any other members of the board have any questions or comments about this application? Hearing none, I'm going to open it to the public. Anyone in the public have any questions or comments about this application?
No one, Chairman.
Okay, close the public portion. I'd make a motion to approve this application. And a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Steve. Call the roll?
Mr. Weissman,
Yes.
Mr. Tillery,
Yes.
Mr. Patel. Kalpesh. Mr. Reggio,
Yes.
Mr. Mitterondo,
Yes.
Mr. Ellie,
Yes.
Chairman Cahill,
Yes,
and let the record show that Mr. Hidaka has joined us.
great.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
We'll memorialize it at our next meeting and send you a copy.
Thanks very much, Jim. Have a good night, all.
Have a great night.
Good night.
Let's move on now to item number 12, 24-ZB-09/10V, Wellspring Adult Daycare.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board professionals. My name is Tim Arch. I'm an attorney licensed in the state of New Jersey, and I'm here tonight representing Wellspring Adult Daycare. We are seeking preliminary and final site plan approval to operate an adult daycare facility, more specifically what's referred to as a day habilitation program for developmentally challenged individuals, and we're looking to do that at 399 Hose Lane West. You will probably remember 399 Hose Lane West. The site was previously before the board earlier this year for the Ann Noor Academy application, which is another tenant that is utilizing that same building. You were gracious enough to approve that, and there were certain conditions and improvements associated with that approval. A lot of those are going to be reflected in the plans that you see before you, because we incorporated those conditions and improvements in this as well to reflect accurately what the site is going to look like. One thing I do want to just make clear is that there is a distinction between a year one and year two improvements. If you remember, that was because Ann Noor needed to get into that building quickly, and so some improvements were deferred to year two. That does not apply to Wellspring. Everything that we talk about tonight in terms of improvements made for Wellspring are going to be done for Wellspring to operate. So there's no phasing being proposed. So I just want to make sure there's no confusion. There's a year one and year two shown there. Everything we're talking about is going to be in place, and all those improvements are going to be made prior to Wellspring, or any of the improvements that are directly related to Wellspring are going to be made before their operation. The property is situated in the BP1 zone where adult daycare is not permitted. So we are seeking a use variance to allow the use. You're going to hear this is an inherently beneficial use. We have an existing variance that we're seeking, which is a side yard setback, 24.5 feet where 25 is required. That was also previously approved in the Ann Noor application. I don't think we need to talk about a half a foot difference all that much. And we do have a variance for off-street parking, 331 spaces required when factoring in all the proposed uses, and I believe 234 spaces are being proposed. But you're going to hear that Wellspring actually utilizes vans to transport their clientele back and forth to the site, so you'll hear that the parking is more than sufficient. There are three reports that we may be referring to. One is the tri-party staff memo, which is dated October 29th. There's also a CME traffic report dated November 8th, and Mr. Chadwick's report is dated on November 12th. Again, some of the comments in these reports that refer to sort of common area improvements, such as improvements to the paving, milling and paving of the parking area, additional landscaping. A lot of those are the comments that are identical to the comments in the Ann Nor application. What was done in the Ann Nor application was a developer's agreement was entered into to hash out all the specifics of what is going to be done and when those are going to be done. We are agreeing as well with Wellspring to enter into a developer's agreement just to make sure that all those conditions are complementary and incorporated, so that we're not saying something in this application that contradicts something in the Ann Nor application in terms of common area improvements. So we certainly will agree to enter into that developer's agreement. I do have 5 witnesses tonight, and I hear you groaning, but we will be as quick as we possibly can be. And unless there's anything for me initially, I'm ready to proceed with our first witness.
Please start.
Can I
Okay,
have one clarification?
certainly.
The plan shows, you said there's no phasing now.
Mhm.
The relocation of the driveway and drop-off lane and what have you, that's going to be done now?
No, so those are the Ann Nor improvements. So if you recall from the Ann Nor application of
Right.
399, there was an initial drop-off for them. There is a separate drop-off area that we will be discussing when we get into engineering that is dedicated to Wellspring. So that will be constructed and that will be there. There's a whole separate side entrance that's being constructed specifically for the Wellspring use. So
Okay.
everything that's specific to Ann Nor is on the timing that was discussed in the Ann Nor application. Everything related to Wellspring that isn't a common area will be done and needs to be done in order for Wellspring to get in.
Thanks,
Okay.
John.
So our first witness tonight would be Mr. Ben Honing.
Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
Yes,
Your name and address, please?
Ben Honig. My address is 1111 57th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11219.
Thank you. Put your hand down.
So Ben, you're sort of the person in charge of Wellspring. Please tell us what your relation is to Wellspring, and more importantly, tell us what drew you to this kind of work.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Ben Honig, and I'm one of the founders of Wellspring. Do you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I'm just hearing an echo when I speak.
Yes, same here.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ben Honig, and I'm one of the founders of Wellspring Circle. It's a rehabilitation program for adults with developmental disabilities. What brought me into this work is deeply personal. I come from a large family of 8 siblings, and one of my older brothers, Joel, was diagnosed with cancer at a young age. Due to the treatments available at the time, he underwent brain surgery, which left him intellectually disabled. Growing up, I witnessed my parents' dedication as they worked tirelessly to find the best therapies, education, and programs to support my brother. As I got older, I took a greater role in managing his care, and this experience opened my eyes to this critical need for quality supportive services for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Inspired by my brother's journey, I wanted to help others facing similar challenges. For nearly 3 years, my sister and I have been working to secure our DDD license, financing, and a suitable location to bring Wellspring Circle to life. Recently, we exhibited at the LMP networking event and East Brunswick Day, where we received incredibly motivating feedback from parents of adults with intellectual disabilities. Their support reinforced our commitment, and we look forward to giving each of our clients a chance to grow and thrive in their own way. At Wellspring Circle, we believe in the potential of every individual, and we are dedicated to providing a supportive environment where each client can develop life skills, build connections, and experience personal growth. At Wellspring Circle, we believe in the potential of every individual and are dedicated to providing supportive, and we're offering a trusted place where their loved ones will receive compassionate and valuable opportunities. We are excited about the opportunity, and we are looking forward to making a meaningful impact of everyone's life, and especially for those who need it.
Thank you so much, Ben. Our second witness, Joan Marie, will be going into more of the operational testimony as to what's the functioning is on the site, but Mr. Honing is available for any questions if you may have any.
Thank you, Tim. Please proceed.
No questions to Mr. Honig?
Anyone have any questions for Honig? No, you can proceed, Tim.
Okay, our next witness would be Joe Marie Granado.
Ms. Granado, could you raise your right hand?
Yes,
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
I do.
Your name and address, please?
Joan Marie Granado, 95 West 16th Street, Bayonne, New Jersey, 07002.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Granado, if you can please just introduce yourself and tell us what your title is and your experience with this type of program.
Sure. I'm Joan Marie Granado. I'm the consultant for Wellsprings Circle. I own and operate 3 adult medical daycare centers and 1 day rehabilitation center. I've consulted for over 50 centers, and I'm the president of the Coalition of New Jersey, the vice chair of the National Association, and I'm also the president of the Activity Association and a national instructor for activity professionals.
Okay, so the Wellspring site, we identified that as a dayhabilitation center. Can you please, for the board's sake, summarize the overall concept of what a dayhabilitation center is?
Basically, a dayhabilitation center is a program for adults with developmentally and intellectually disabilities in a structured activity program. And it mainly helps improve their self-help, socialization, and adaptive skills through many components, especially through activities.
Can you tell us a little bit about what those activities are that are included in the program?
More as therapeutic activities or, physical games, special events, sing-alongs, social and fun activity programs like exercise, bingo, arts and crafts, and many, many more. And then in the life skills area, we do activities for money management, education, health and fitness, personal hygiene, and developmentally developing personal interests and computer and other device technology.
Okay, now speaking about 399 Hose Lane specifically, what are going to be the hours of operation at that site?
7:30 to 4:30.
Okay, and that includes the time that it takes to shuttle the clientele to the site. What are the hours that the clients will actually be spending at the center generally?
8:30 to 2:30.
Okay. And I believe that we have it set up for essentially the plans are set up for having about 100 clients, but how many clients in reality are we going to have?
Usually there's a ramp up, and we start with at least 10 clients and then slowly admit clients over time. It may take anywhere from 3 to 5 years to get to our goal of 100 clients, God willing.
Okay, but we've anticipated 100, so we fit everything out to accommodate 100, although we don't think that it's going to hit that for quite some time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How is it that the clientele gets to the center?
Through our transport vans.
Okay. So you actually provide the shuttling service, the transport vans that pick them up from their homes or wherever they are, and then actually drops them back off site. Is that correct?
Yeah, back to their homes. Correct.
So is there at any time do parents and caregivers drop off their clients?
Usually not at all. I mean, there may be occasions, but not in my experience.
Okay, so in those rare occasions where maybe somebody has to drop somebody off that isn't on the shuttle, what would be the procedure for that?
So they would call the facility prior. We would have a staff go out to the parking lot to meet and greet the parent and the child and bring the person into the facility.
Okay, and generally just the shuttling of the clientele to the site. That's all with staff involvement. Staff are accompanying them the whole way. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a whole transportation protocol set up with a
Okay.
transportation director and routes.
Okay, and basically, how many staff do you anticipate to have at the center?
So usually we're a 6 to 9 ratio for staff, and startups have about 5 to 7 staff. And then as we grow, we add more staff to meet the needs of our clients.
Okay, and are these staff trained at all?
Absolutely. They go through vigorous training through DDD, the Division of Developmental Disabilities. They have to be certified in CPR, drug tested, and have a background check, amongst other mandatory in-services and training they have to go through.
Okay, and what are the titles of these staff individuals that are generally there?
Usually we have executive director, program director, activity professionals, and DSPs, which are both drivers and direct support professionals that work directly with the clients.
Okay, and to be clear, is this a medical facility at all?
No, this is more of a social program.
Okay. Um, do the clientele ever go on outside trips?
Yes, usually once, twice a week with one van. They'll go.
Okay, so it's limited to maybe one van's worth of clients going out maybe once or twice a week?
Yes.
Okay, and what are these trips? What type of outings are there?
So we like to do community integration, and we would bring them to restaurants, bowling, parks, museums, movies, even the mayor's office, fire department. We have done anything to get them into the community.
Okay. And the times for these trips, well, generally when are they?
Well, we can certainly be flexible working with the school to avoid any overlap, and there's flexibility with most of these programs with their drop off and pick up. So it's usually after breakfast and the program's already started.
Okay, and on these trips off site, do they then come back to the center generally, or do they not?
We like to try to schedule routes so that like the group that comes in the van together will go on the trip and then they go right home after the trip so they don't have to come back to the center. Gives them more time out in the community.
Okay. Tell us a little, in your opinion, is the program needed in this community?
This program is extremely needed to help those with disabilities and also I always say it's like two clients. You have the parents and the client themselves, and it gives the parents a peace of mind to have them attend a safe and secure center, that their loved one will learn and grow. And I have contacted DDD myself and asked them what counties is this service needed, and they have identified our county.
Okay, I believe one of the questions that came up in one of the reports is how deliveries would be handled. Do you know how deliveries are expected and how they'll be handled?
I guess occasional FedEx or UPS delivery. Um, I They can come to the front. There's not a lot of deliveries. I guess any activities we do, we would pick up, through the community, like a dollar store or activity crafts, that kind of thing.
Okay, one of the things that we had talked about with the Nor Academy when they were here is if there are any expected deliveries, that we would coordinate that to go to the front away from any drop-off areas. Is that something that Wellspring would also be agreeable to?
Absolutely. Makes sense.
All right, I have no further questions of Ms. Granado.
Okay. Any other board members have any questions for Ms. Granado? Hearing none, you can put your next.
I have
Okay,
a
John.
couple quick questions.
Please.
The age of the clients would be what?
So usually it's 21 years and older.
Okay. And the facility, does it have any medical staff or training, or is it like CPR and things of that order?
Well, our staff will be trained in CPR, and we are not regulated to have any medical staff. But if we want to, we can have a nurse or social worker, but we're not regulated to have any. And many facilities don't have any.
Do you have to screen then your clients? I mean, if there's some that have clearly medical issues, just wouldn't be suited for this facility? Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's correct. So we would do a total assessment with the support coordinator, and the support coordinator is like their case manager. And those that we usually don't accept is a harm to themselves or to others, so that they need a more structured environment than what we could provide.
So the
Thanks,
age,
John.
the age is 21 and over,
Right.
Correct.
adults. Okay.
Yeah.
And
No
any
other
other members
questions?
of the board?
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. I heard the hours of operation. How many days a week is this?
5, Monday through Friday.
Thank you.
Mr. Arch, I think the board has been satisfied. Can you go on to your next witness?
Certainly, our next witness would be Ms. Donna Bullock, our engineer.
Ms. Bullock, are you present?
Yes, I am.
Could you raise your right hand? You swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth.
I do.
Your name and address, please?
Donna Bullock, Bullock, 130 Central Avenue, Island Heights.
I believe you appeared
08754.
as an engineer before this board previously,
Yes, I have for the Anor application.
and have your credentials changed in any way since then?
No, they have not.
Mr. Chairman, I believe she can be accepted.
Thank you, Jim. Can proceed, Mr. Arch.
Thank you. Donna, if you can please just take us through the site quickly. And I know the board is already familiar with the site, so if you can please just highlight the areas that are specific to this Wellspring application.
Certainly. I'd like to share a document and I'll go through briefly what changes are relevant.
Please do.
Can everyone see it?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, excellent. So I'd like to start with the 35 by 35 exterior patio seating area. Access from the inside of the building is from their activity area. So you leave the activity area and you can have some outdoor time. It's a fenced-in enclosure. It's a patio base. And if you look here, there is a dash line. That's the overhead of the building above. So it'll be partially covered from the elements and the sun, and the other part will be opened. We will provide landscaping buffer to beautify the surrounding area. We also have, for accessibility, a 4-foot wide push bar gate, so that if there was any reason to get out quickly in an emergency, that would be available. We're providing a 4-foot wide walkway, which is also underneath the overhang to protect from the elements, onto a sidewalk that is part of the Phase 1 application. Then we're proposing a interconnection from the handicapped accessibility way into the access way into the main entrance to the WSC. Sorry, I'm not sure. Into the main access. We're also providing, if it's appeasable to the board and per regulations of the ordinance, a sign in this general area to let people know that this is the entrance to the main reception area for the facility. And we've also talked about before the 6 spaces where the vans will be parking when they're not in use. We also are putting a depressed curb intermittently along the loading and unloading spaces that are now going to be reserved for the adult daycare drop-off for accessibility. They're not necessarily ADA accessible ramps, although the sidewalk will be from the parking into the main entrance.
Yeah, might as well just shut it off.
Sorry?
Someone's got an open mic. Sorry about that. Please proceed.
Oh, sorry. And we have that's pretty much it as far as what we're enhancing. If we look back here, we see that when we got rid of the fenced-in area, we have additional parking that has been provided along the rear property line, and we have the location of the EV spaces. We have 2 EV spaces here that will allow for a handicapped accessible EV parking. And then those are 2 of the total 8 spaces that will be built up as part of this application for the 8 total required. And that's pretty much it, unless I'm if anyone has any questions or anything.
I just want to add a couple more things or a couple more questions for you, Donna.
Sure.
Number one, that the entrance and all of the walkways to the entrance, can you just we agree that those will be ADA certified, correct?
Yes, they will. From the handicap parking stalls across the parking area on this 5-foot wide entranceway, and then into the reception area of the use.
Okay, and even if the board didn't require that, the state requires that, so we have to comply with that, correct?
That is correct.
All right, and you indicated some signage. Any signage that we are proposing, or any future signage that perhaps the township would like us to add to the site in their discretion, those would all be to the township standards, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I don't believe I have anything further at this time.
Okay. Any other members of the board have any questions? Ms. Bullock?
I have a comment. I don't believe staff has received this updated version of the drawing that's indicating the size of the signage, the slope of the ramps.
I do apologize. I should have stated that in the beginning. The initial plan that was submitted was a plan that does not show those features. Based on the engineers and staff review letters that we were looking at, I enhanced it as a display for tonight so that everyone was aware of where I would be talking about these items instead of trying to explain it. So I thought a picture is worth 1,000 words.
So we will mark that as an exhibit, as Exhibit A1 for purposes of tonight, and we will certainly provide that, and we will provide any updated plans if this is approved as a condition of approval, obviously.
What is the
A1 with
date?
today's date.
Correct.
Go ahead, John.
That's what I was going to ask. What is the date on that exhibit?
11/14/2024.
Prepared by yourself?
Prepared by Matt Wilder of our office,
Okay.
under my supervision, but he gets to sign it.
I know you're not the witness. Is there a breakfast, lunch, snacks provided as part of this?
I do know the answer to that, but I'll leave that up to the people who
If you
really
know,
that
tell us.
information.
I believe Ms. Granata is still under oath if she wants to chime in and just answer that question.
Sure. So by regulations, we do not have to provide anything. The clients usually bring in their own lunch. We may provide snacks, but it's a non-cooking facility, so we won't be cooking on premises at all.
Okay.
Ms. Bullock, could you share your screen, please?
Certainly. Sorry,
Thanks. No, it's okay.
it's new to me,
Reach to the choir.
right?
Any
All
other
right.
members of the board? Any questions for Ms. Bullock? Hearing none, you put on your next expert, Mr. Arch.
I got two more. Next is Mr. Jay Troutman. He's our traffic engineer.
Good evening.
Good evening. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Your name and address, please.
Jay Troutman, McDonough and Ray Associates, 105 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey.
I believe Mr. Troutman has appeared before this board as a traffic engineer on prior occasions.
Yes.
We'll accept them, absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Troutman, if you can, please just take us through your opinion as to the sufficiency of the parking and circulation.
Yes, as you've heard, we're going to be improving this parking lot with resurfacing and striping, providing the designated parking areas for the adult daycare van activity and staff parking. EV charging stations are being added as well. The improved parking lot will be safe and efficient for all users. In addition, a traffic signal controlled intersection is provided for all site traffic, and NJDOT has issued a letter of no interest for both the school and the adult daycare traffic. Based on these facts, I conclude that the board can make a finding that the proposed on-site traffic plan is well suited for all users, and specifically the adult daycare use that's tonight's application.
Thank you.
Any members of the board have any questions? Mr. Troutman? Hearing none.
I believe
your last witness.
Mr. Chen. I believe
Mr. Chen from CME has questions.
Okay.
Yes, I have a question. I have a few questions, Mr. Troutman. There was an NJDOT access permit for the previous application sent to our office on August 28, 2024. Does that permit also cover this application?
Yes.
Okay. With regard to that permit, could you clarify as to like, maybe is there like any kind of expiration date on the permit for that?
It's not a permit, it's a letter of no interest.
Oh, letter of no interest. I apologize.
And in the letter, the NJDOT specifically details both the school traffic, the existing office building traffic, and the adult daycare traffic is all covered and found to be not a significant increase in traffic over the prior office use.
Okay, and are you aware of my traffic report dated November 8, 2024?
Yes.
are there any items on that traffic report that you would not be able to comply with should this application be approved?
No, we can comply with your report.
Okay, thank you for those responses. Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions of Mr. Troutman at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Any other members of the board have any questions or comments, Mr. Troutman? I think you can proceed, Mr. Arch.
Thank you. We've saved the best for last. We have Beth McManus, who is our professional planner, who's ready to testify.
Ms. McManus, can you raise your right hand?
Yes.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
Yes.
Your name and address, please?
My name is Elizabeth McManus. I'm a principal at Kyle McManus Associates. Our address is 2 East Broad Street in Hopewell, New Jersey.
Have you
Ms.
appeared
McManus,
before this board before?
I don't believe I have.
And Mr. Arch, could you have Ms. McManus go through her qualifications?
Ms. McManus, can you please go through your qualifications?
I'd be happy to. So first, foremost, I'm a licensed planner. I hold my NJPP. I'm also a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. So I have an AICP as well. I have an undergraduate degree from Rutgers in environmental policy, graduate degree in city and regional planning. I've done a lot of municipal work, also quite a bit of private work. I've testified in
I
approximately
think your
50
credentials
towns.
are more than
Thank you.
acceptable at this
Thank
point.
you.
We can proceed.
Okay.
You guys asked for it. All right, Ms.
so-
McManus, if you can please please give the board the benefit of your opinion.
I would be happy to. Thank you very much. So folks, I am predominantly here because we are requesting a use variance. And in order for me to have provide this testimony, just for the record, I've gone through and I've reviewed the application, I've reviewed the plans, the zoning ordinance, staff reports, etc. And as I look through the application, specifically what we're proposing, the first thing I see, and I know that this has been addressed already, is that I think we are proposing an inherently beneficial use. And as part of that, I will be presenting some alternative testimony consistent with the SICA test, as opposed to the typical positive and negative criteria. And so while we're not specifically listed inherently beneficial use, I think that we are still one that it provides value to the community. We're fundamentally providing the public good by providing services to those that are developmentally disabled, and also as part of that, giving an important break or rest to those that are serving as daily caregivers. And so as part of that, as I said, that brings us to the point of being inherently beneficial. And let me walk you through the planning testimony. So as I said earlier, it's not the typical positive and negative criteria. In fact, it's a little bit different with a 4-part test. The first part of the SICA test asks, what is the public interest at stake? And I think here, by granting the use variance, the board will be able to enable us to provide assistance to adults with developmental disabilities in terms of providing them social and employment skills, as we've heard previous testimony on, and as I had indicated before, also providing really valuable support to those providing care to the clients of the daycare, giving them an opportunity to have hours during the day to conduct other business activities and perhaps work. And so ultimately, for the participants in the program, for the clients, the program will enable them to better integrate into daily life and be better integrated into the community, in part through the weekly outings that we just heard testimony on. And so given the assistance to those with disabilities, as well as to some extent support to caregivers, I think that we are certainly providing a significant assistance to the public and are able to address that our application will address public interest. The second test for SICA is really, what are the potential negative impacts? What are the substantial detriment effects, if any? And quite honestly, I don't see any negative impacts, much less any substantial detriment. We've heard already that there's going to be very limited traffic associated with the property, despite taking much of this office building, we're only going to have about 25 employees, and the rest of the folks on the property will not be arriving via daily cars, but rather through busing and van services, which will also limit the traffic to and from the property. And so as a result, it's a really low traffic generating use. We've got adequate parking on the property, in particular, given the low traffic use of the site. As I said, we don't have individuals, the 100 or so participants driving individual cars to the site. And so our property is able to easily accommodate the intensity of the use. Also, we don't have any smell, noise, light, or other nuisances as a result of the use. In fact, we're really similar to an office use in that respect. In terms of aesthetics, we're not not removing anything from the property that is aesthetically appealing. In fact, we're making really modest changes to the rear of the building that will really enhance the site's usability for this particular use, but will not have any detriment to the view of the property from the public right-of-way. And so overall, given the lack of traffic impacts, the ability of the site to accommodate our use, the lack of any other impacts or potential change that might have a negative aesthetic impact, I think there are no negative impacts from this use. And so we're able to satisfy that component of the SECA balancing test. The third of the fourth part of this test seeks to identify any conditions that are necessary in order to address those negative impacts. And while as I just said, I don't think that we have any substantial negative impacts as a result of our application, I will say that we are agreeing to a number of the recommendations set forth in staff reports. And so we are able to, through those agreements, able to further mitigate any impact from the property or from the use proposal. And so the last part of the SECA balancing test is just that, is the balance. And so as I look at the public interest that is going to be supported by providing this adult daycare, as I look at the lack of negative impact, as well as our agreement to several conditions, it's my professional opinion that that the board is able to find in favor of the use, and more specifically, that we are properly addressing the balancing test by having such a minor, if any, negative impact as a result of the application, and having our positive aspects far outweigh any of those negative impacts. And the last thing outside of that balancing test, the last thing I want to cite is just that in reviewing the township master plan and the zoning ordinance, I don't see any substantial detriment to those as a result of this application. I think the township is well aware of the troubled office market. I see about a 21.5% vacancy rate in the county in the third quarter of 2024. And so we're providing occupancy of this use of this office building in a way that I think is creative, and we're able to do so without creating any negative impacts. But more than that, I also see some language in the master plan that is actually supportive of our application, in the sense that the 2020 reexamination report cites a specific challenge to the township, which is that adaptive reuse of existing sites and buildings need to be compatible with the surrounding land uses. And so our proposed adult daycare use is not incompatible with the surrounding land uses. In fact, we're surrounded by we're in a district that permits not just offices, but we're surrounded by a variety of institutional type uses, such as the high school, the Eleanor School on this property, as well as some other institutional government uses in the surrounding area. And so again, I don't think we are incompatible or creating a detriment to the township zone plan. And again, we're a very low intensity use that is not going to negatively impact traffic congestion. So as a result of our balancing test, which I think is clearly in favor of the positive outweighing the negative, as well as not only not having detriment, but actually having portions of the master plan that are in support of the application, I do think that the board can find in favor of the use variance.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any members of the board have any questions for Ms. McManus? Hearing none, Mr. Arch, closing arguments?
Closing arguments is that you should please approve this application. That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave it to you guys.
Okay, I am going to reserve judgment on voting this evening. I'm not going to go to the public portion right now because I want to give my Piscataway staff an opportunity to revise the site impact based on the drawing that was submitted just this evening on Ms. Bullock. So that's where I stand on this. Can you agree with me, Mr. Arch?
Well, one of the things I'll note is that that drawing was really just to highlight additional, is just to highlight things that were already mentioned in those reports. We are complying with all of the recommended staff reports. So
Not that we don't take your word for it. We would like to have our professionals review it to see if they agree with your representation.
Completely understand. I would say that we have been, it's been a long time coming for this application. We would very much like to go to a vote tonight if possible, but I will certainly defer to the board and the board's professionals. If Jonathan feels that he needs more time to review anything, or to perhaps if I'm sort of reading behind the scenes that maybe the developers agreement would want to be hashed out prior to a vote, but.
Well, that certainly would help. But at this point, I can't ask Mr. Mizrahi and the other professionals to review a drawing that just appeared tonight. And it may be entirely correct that it just represents the changes that were requested, but they should have an opportunity to review it and opine on that.
I will defer certainly to the board and the board's professionals' opinions. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Well,
They were going to need to announce a new date so that they do not need to renotice.
December 12th.
I'm
December
sorry,
12th.
December 12th.
Okay, so this matter is going to be carried to December 12th with no further notice by the applicant.
May I ask, Mr. Keneally, if the staff is able to review and doesn't have any sort of issues, would it be possible to potentially get a same night resolution?
We can certainly talk about that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arch.
Chairman, are we going to open to the public so we can close it out, or do you want to?
No, I don't want to, until we get the final site impact. I feel let them get the full picture next time on December 12th, and then we'll vote on it then.
No problem. Thank you.
So, let's move on. Item number 13, 22-ZB-10-1, 101-102V, 429 Bell Street, LLC.
429 Bell Street present.
Yes, good evening. Eric Friends, Simon Law Group. For the applicant, I have a few witnesses here. They're muted right now, but they are present.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. We're ready, or?
Yeah, we're ready, Mr. Friends. Go ahead.
Please.
Okay, thank you. We're here tonight. I represent, as I said, 429 Bell Street LLC. It is a business doing business as Central Turf and Irrigation Supplies in Piscataway at 429 Bell Street. It is a irrigation supply business. It has been operating as that for a number of years. But we come before the board because they recited that they were not permitted to operate that business. So we are asking the board to approve a use variance along with a number of other variances, including some setback issues and some signage and storage issues. I have with me our professional Shri Kaut Dawala, as well as a number of representatives from 429 Bell Street LLC.
Put your first witness on?
Yeah, Mr. Lyle Olwett.
Willett.
Willett, I'm sorry.
Mr.
I'm
Willett,
not
could
good-
you raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr.
Your a-
Will-
Mr. Willett, your address, please.
I live in 38 Brookside Avenue, Hackettstown, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Mr. Willett, what is your title with 429 Bell Street or with Central Turf?
I am the assistant branch manager.
And as part of this application, you had a chance to review the, request by the town. Is that
Yes.
okay? If you could just get into the nature of the business at Central Turf and Irrigation.
Yeah, so we provide materials for outdoor living. We provide materials for irrigation, salt. We do so. We provide all materials for full service landscaping companies.
Is that for commercial or residential or both or a mix of?
That is for commercial and residential. We've been doing this. We've been on that site since 1996, and we purchased the land in 2018.
How many employees are typically on site at the Central Turf?
There are 6 employees there daily.
And they're full-time employees?
Yes.
What are your hours?
Hours are from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
How many days a week is that?
We're open 6 Saturday. We're open from 7 a.m. to noon.
And do you have a lot of foot traffic or customers coming into that facility or?
Now there's not that many. A lot of what we do is deliveries. I mean, around 5 or 6 really come in a day. There's not a lot of people that are coming in and out. It's more us delivering to our customers.
Okay. Do you have is there parking at the at that site location?
Yes, there's parking for the customers when they come in.
No,
Go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's enough parking in our parking lot for the, every now and then guys will come with a trailer and we'll put stuff in their trailer. But we have enough room in our yard for that.
Do you have enough? Or do the employees park on site or off site, or how's that usually?
We have parked on the street. We do park in the site as well. It's not really a set thing for us.
So you said typical is how many visitors? 6 or so a day, or is it?
Yeah, somewhere in that general vicinity. I mean, some days could be more, some days a bit less. Right now there's a couple of people a day maybe.
And you said the company makes deliveries. How are those deliveries handled?
Those deliveries are handled. We have 3 trucks on site that we use for deliveries.
What kind of trucks are they?
There is a one Kenworth. It has a spider on the back, one of those forklifts. Then there's that's a flatbed truck, and then there's another rack truck that we use. Forget what make that one is. And then there's a pickup truck that we use.
And are these trucks making deliveries consistently, or is there set times that you make deliveries? Are they in and out?
Our deliveries, it's only during the time that we operate. So 7 to 5.
Would you say the trucks are come and go a lot, or is it just not much.
Oh, not that. Not. I mean, the guys will go out. They'll be out 3 or 4 hours, and then they'll come back, and then maybe they'll go out and do another short delivery after that.
All right. There were concerns about the outdoor storage area that you would need to install a fence. Did you have any issue with installing a fence around that area?
We do not have an issue with to install a fence. That's the new fence would go on the property line between us and the residential that's behind us.
Right. And it would have to be 8 feet. There's no issue with the height.
No, there's no issue with the height, and we would put that fake grass or whatever. I don't know exactly the term. So that you couldn't see through it. You couldn't see into our yard from the homes behind us.
And the town also mentioned something regarding a landscape buffer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any issue with installing that? And I guess we'll get into that with our, Mr. Kaltawala.
Yeah.
Kaltawala.
Mm-hmm.
But any issue?
I'm not sure exactly what it is that we're looking to do there. With an 8-foot fence that you can't see through, I'm not sure what purpose it's really going to serve to have a landscape buffer there any more than a hedge or something.
Okay, but if it was a requirement for approval, you have no issue.
Yeah, we have no issue with that.
Okay. And there was also a comment regarding the existing light poles, lights that should be placed in the lighting plan provided. Any issue with any of the changing of the light? Tell me a little about the current light situation, if you know.
Yeah, so the lights that are out in the yard that I think that they're talking about, they are not operational at this time, and I'm not sure why they're not. I've kind of started getting into some of that outdoor stuff at the building there. It's one of the reasons why I was hired. So, but we don't have a problem getting the correct lights put in there that we have to get done.
There's also a comment regarding outdoor storage being limited to in height of 6 feet. If you know what the current setup is, and if there's any issue with changing that or modifying that.
No, there's no issue with having that at 6 feet.
And if there's any garbage, there's also a comment. There's clear of debris. I don't know how this. Don't personally know what the situation is, but
I have done quite a bit of cleanup. There was along the road there was an area where over the years stuff had actually kind of grown out into the road that has since been cut back to the curb. So it's a lot cleaner than it was a few months ago.
Okay, but is further cleanup needed, or to your knowledge? I mean, or
well, for me, there's some cleanup and some neatening that we are going to keep doing.
And obviously, if it was a condition of approval, you have no issue finishing the cleanup or
yes, no,
that's
yes, we have no issue with that.
On a similar note, there were as a comment about existing pallets outside on the site. I guess wood pallets or those things you might use to stack certain items. I don't know if you could enlighten me on that.
So the pallets kind of come and go for us. We now have them inside the fenced in area to the right of the building, so they're no longer out in the parking lot. And as we get a certain amount there, we call up a guy. The guy comes and he takes all the pallets away.
Okay, what's that certain amount that you would have there until you have to call your?
I mean, we really don't have a set number. You know, it's probably in the range of around 30 or so.
Okay.
And that has been, much more neatly stacked as well than it had been.
Comment from the town regarding the dumpsters. I don't know where they're placed currently, but they're requesting that it be, they would have to approve a location for the dumpsters and an enclosure be placed around them, so that it would be either out of the way or not within sight lines. Any issue, or tell me about that, and if there's any issues.
Yeah, there's not a lot of places that we could really put that. I mean, obviously the town wants to have it in an enclosure so that that's not to be seen anymore. We just need to I need some input as to where it's okay for us to put that.
Well, if I can interject just for a second, please.
Absolutely.
We have the township landscape architect here. So as soon as you get through your questions, he can address whatever questions Lyle has as to where he would like to have the stuff put, the reason for the buffering, why it's got to be 6 feet piles, even though it's an 8-foot fence. Mr. Mizrahi can expedite this a lot quicker, so we don't have to guess with testimony of your client at this point.
No, absolutely. I appreciate
Okay.
that. Thank you. Now, there's also a comment regarding having a sidewalk. Tell me about the layout, and if that can be accommodated or needs to be accommodated.
Well, I mean, the sidewalk, I've been going to this site now. I haven't been employed there this long, but I've been going to this site now for close to 20 years. I've yet to see somebody walking down the street anytime that I've been there. So, and it's just an industrial area where, I mean, if we put a sidewalk, it's not something that's going to benefit anybody. There's no path at the end. It's just railroad tracks at the end of that cul-de-sac where we are. The usefulness of a sidewalk to me, it just isn't there.
Okay. Another comment regarding fiber optic being installed, and including 2 4-inch PVC conduits. Any issue with being required to install that, should the town need that in the future?
No, there's no issue with installing that. No.
Okay. And I guess the last comment for you would be replacing or repairing broken curbs, if there, if there are broken curbs. Do you know, to your knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, I really haven't seen broken curbs there that I would say needed to be replaced. But we would do that.
That's all I have for this witness.
Okay. Jonathan, could you jump in here with what you've heard so far?
Sure.
Seems like they've covered, I would say, through the 16 that we submitted, maybe a dozen. So there's 4 up in the air. If you could address the ones that they didn't speak about.
Sure, and just to touch on a comment Mr. Olet made, I think a board-on-board fence would make more sense than a chain link fence with the fake grass in it, just for sound mitigation, which was the other main reason why we were suggesting a landscaping buffer, so that way that vegetation would act as a sound barrier. The testimony is a little contradictory to our other staff members when they did a site inspection in regards to the dumpster area. Just looking at the site drawing in front of me, I think there's 2 logical areas where we could place it at the easternmost and the westernmost entrances. That'd be direct access for a front-loading dump truck to come in and collect the dumpster. I think having everything at the 6 foot height with an 8 foot fence would allow for a better screening with the surrounding areas. So I'm not sure if there's anything more specific, Mr. Chairman, you'd like me to touch on.
The light poles, he said that they're not working now, but they are going to fix them or install them.
I think a lighting plan, a lighting plan just showing the throw of the light not impacting the surrounding residential lots is what we'd like to see. So whether there needs to be some sort of a shield or guard on the fixture installed, we want to make sure that that's in place.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Any other members of the board have any questions?
You might
This
want
end.
to talk,
Yeah,
talk a
Yeah, John.
little bit more about the sidewalk. I believe the township's policy has been either install or contribute to the sidewalk fund.
So, Mr. Roulette, if you had to contribute to the sidewalk fund, any issue there, or the township's sidewalk fund? I mean, I don't. If you're saying your testimony is that there's no, well, is your testimony regarding the sidewalk? I mean, there's not. You testified that there's not a lot of foot traffic.
I don't see a necessity whatsoever for that. Like I said, because it's going nowhere.
The township's policy has been to put sidewalk in all districts, meaning industrial, residential, mixed-use districts. Sidewalks have been required. It is my experience, probably for 20 years. That's been the policy.
I don't know what contributing to the to the sidewalk fund would be. It's something I would have to discuss with the owners.
Well, if you felt it was unreasonable, you could come back and discuss it with the board. You saw at the outset of this meeting that they approved an application, and then they listened to further testimony on it and modified that condition. So if you're looking to move forward this evening, you maybe can agree to it. And if it becomes too burdensome, come back and discuss it.
Okay, so what is that we would have to do?
Well, you would agree to either install or contribute to the sidewalk. If you find out that contribution is not something you want to agree to, then you have the opportunity to come back and discuss it.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions, John?
No.
Okay, good. Any other members of the board have any questions? Mr.
Yeah,
Wall?
oh,
I
I'm
got a
sorry.
question.
I'm sorry. Do we just specify the height of these lights, Jonathan?
I think no, we didn't specify the height of these lights.
I mean, you
We
have
can-
houses all along the back of this property, and I think you ought to keep them down as low as you can.
We'll let them play around with the photometrics and see what's going to minimize the impact.
So, yeah, I mean, the sidewalk contribution is probably the way we'd like to go.
Why don't you just hold on it? And have
Okay.
Either or, and then you figure out where you are.
Okay.
That's it? Anybody else on the board have any questions?
Yeah, I got one or two
Go ahead, Artie.
questions. What type of products do you handle there, and is there any of it hazardous material?
We do have some chemicals there. They are stored in, an approved way. This is for our turf program that we have. So, and then the rest of it is just seed, salt, and all of those things are inside. Any of that, those chemicals, all of our fertilizer is stored inside. So there's no worry of anything, let's say, leaching out or anything like that.
Okay.
Hey, Artie, just for the record, Fire Marshal Robert Gore did approve the site plan review.
Okay,
He was out there taking a look at it, so it's
all
not.
right, thank you.
And any other questions? Proceed, Mr. Friends.
All right, I'd like to call my expert, Mr. Sri Kotawala.
Mr. Godwalla, could you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth?
I do. I do.
Thank you. Your name and address, please?
Srinath J. Kodawala, SHRINATH, J. Kodawala, KOTDAWLA. I reside at 54 Oakland Mills Road in Manalapan, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Mr. Kotawala, could you explain to the board your qualifications?
Yeah, I'm an NJPE since 1998, and I have testified in front of the Piscataway board once in my life, but I have testified in many other township related to land use, zoning, and planning applications. And I'm a practicing civil engineer since 1995.
Qualifications are fine, thank you. Please proceed, Mr. Friends.
Thank you. Could you just discuss or tell the board a little bit more about the plan here, the plan that was submitted?
Yes, I'll just, if you allow me to share a screen, it's the same map which everyone has it. I'll just talk about it and a couple of issues which was discussed by the owner's representative. I would like to put some light on it. So can I share the screen?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Okay. If the board can see it.
Yes,
I'll
we can
just
see it.
Yep. Okay. So I'm just showing you basically just where the site is, which it's in the Bell Street, 50 feet wide right of way. And if I have to go through the aerial picture of the site, just so everyone gets an idea, general idea that where we are and what. So we are on the Bell Street and at the kind of like a dead end. And our property
Let
is
me
basically.
stop you for a moment. Are all of the things that you are showing us on the screen part of the submission package that you submitted in connection with this application?
Yes.
Okay, so
This
they
is
do
a
not
sheet
need to
one
be
of
marked separately.
No, these are the one last we submitted and the township has reviewed it. And this is a sheet 1 of 2.
Thank you.
So I just want to just show where the site is off of the Randolphville Road, but I'll go back again to our plan. So here what we see is existing condition map, which is done by our surveyor, which basically shows our building. It's roughly 8,050 square feet building on a site. And we have like 1, 2, 3, 4 entrances and 4 exit, basically for convenience of moving the material in and out. And we have 10 parking spaces, 7 in the front, and 3 parking spaces were on a side, but none of them were completely meeting the requirements. Typical requirements are they are like odd and even shapes. So what we have done here is creating the space which are easy to move in and like a reverse it out. So, and also for ADA parking, if some visitor is coming to the site, the ADA compliant parking space is made so we can have a nice access to the consumer pickup area. So these are the change basically we are making with the striping. So it's easy to park and kind of easy to see where do I park and come out. The other stuff, other 5 parking spaces we are creating here by removing the old spaces. So altogether we were 10 parking spaces. Now we're going to have a 9, but all of this 9 are easily accessible, easily can be utilized by the employees as well as the customers. The one discussion we had about where to put a dumpster, and I thought that this is the location. We will be providing a dumpster so that can be accessed easily, as well as it's away from the neighboring homes. So we would not have a problem causing any noise issue with the neighbors. So that was the plan we have, is to put a dumpster here. And the second talk we had about lighting. So our thought was, if you allow us, we will go to the site and check at the every like a point which is behind the existing homes, what is the light intensity now, and if it exceeds the township maximum allowed code, we will knock it down. We will try to put a back shield and reduce that number so we can comply with the township offsite illumination. So that is our plan to submit. If the township professional agrees, that is what our plan is. To all these locations, we will check the candle light compared with the rules and reduce it as needed. And I guess that is the rest of the questions were answered by the owners, like a employee. So if you have any other technical question, I'm here to answer. If you have any issues which you think we need to revise on our plan, we will be revising the plan.
I have a quick comment, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
So I agree that the location of the dumpster is acceptable. It's a good location for it. On the plan now, how you have it drawn, a landscape buffer doesn't seem to fit in. I think that considering the inability to provide any relief for a buffer or a rear yard setback, I think having that vegetative buffer is going to be very important for mitigating the impact of the activity on the site for the surrounding homes.
After we hear the opinions from your office, I think we will see that we can provide a straight like a planting,
Yes.
green giant arborvitae in that green line I drew. So we can provide a single row because we have an 8 feet high fence behind it. So and just in front of the fence, we will be placing green giant.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Jim.
So that way the residents will have a good amount of screening and some help with the sound pollution.
Thank you.
Could you please do the screen?
Which one?
Take the screen off.
I have
yes.
I have one question.
Sure, go ahead, John.
Do you know how tall those lights are?
At this moment, I would not know exactly how tall the heights are, but if this numbers as I talk, when we check out the existing what's the lighting like illumination at all these points, if that is high, definitely we have to bring down the light fixtures down, as well as we can provide a back shield to reduce any kind of like a light pollution going onto the neighboring properties. So we will provide to township professional what we see there, and what if that exceeds the township requirements, we will definitely do the alteration such that it meets the requirements.
Well, the manager indicated that he said they didn't work now, correct?
Yes,
I'm
he
not-
said
He doesn't know why, but they don't work. Because to me, I mean, that's all basically deciduous trees along there. So the leaves are gone. If the lights are high enough, you're gonna be looking right up at the bulbs.
correct.
You can shield them, but you'll still be seeing that light right in your backyard. So to me, you need to get them down, and whatever shield you have has to be sufficient to block the actual light source.
Okay. What we can do is we can provide the township professionals.
You can
what we
figure it
have-
out when you submit the revised plan. Just put the detail in.
Okay, okay. We'll do that definitely.
No other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other members of the board have any questions or comments? None. Could you please unshare the screen? Thank you.
Yes, I did.
Mr. Prince, anyone else to testify?
No. Thank
Okay. Do you have any closing arguments or anything you want to surmise?
I would just say I would humbly request that this variance and these variances be granted. This business is operated for, as you heard, over 20 years, really without interruption, without detriment to the public. Any changes that need to be done would be done in the, for the good of the public. Installing the hedges, fixing the lights, putting the dumpsters in a proper place. But I think the positive criteria would outweigh any of the negative criteria in this situation. There's
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
If I can just jump in here for a moment.
Mhm.
Your comment about the positive criteria and the negative criteria, you have not presented the testimony of a planner. You're seeking a use variance. I don't believe this board can grant a use variance without the testimony of a planner. So I recommend that you return to the board at a future meeting with the testimony of a planner.
Okay.
At which point we can also have a number for Mr. Is it Willett?
Willett, yes.
Willett, yeah, where we could find out whether contributing to the sidewalk fund compared to putting a sidewalk around the whole frontage of the property, which would be more convenient for you. I'm sure it comes down to the dollar. We can have those answers for you as well as finding out how high the lighting is going to be and making sure that it's not a detriment to the surrounding residents. There's a couple of, I honestly think that I'd like myself and maybe a couple of my board members to afford the opportunity to go out and actually look at the site ourselves. Any questions that have arisen from whether sidewalks, curbs that are broken, or anything like that, I think it'd be a good opportunity for us to go out, take a look at the property, so we're a little bit more informed before you guys come before us again sometime next month, I'm assuming. So I wasn't ready to vote on this tonight anyway. But I think, Mr. Fringe, you should get yourself a qualified planner that could address the positive and negative criteria of the application. And then at that point, I think more comfortably, we can move forward with a vote.
Certainly. I have no issue
Laura,
doing
where
that.
can we go next? What day do you got?
Looks like January 23rd is the next available meeting. December is full.
It's over full. Yeah, and January, we do start at 7 p.m., but we'll touch
Okay.
base later.
Mr. Friends, do you agree to come back to on this application on January 23rd, 2025?
That is fine with me, January 23rd, yes. I
It'll
have
also
no
give you
issue.
enough time to line up a planner.
I was going to say, even if we had December, I don't think that would have been enough time.
That's good. So it works out for everybody. That's great.
So anybody here on the application of 429 Bell Street LLC, it's going to be continued to January 23rd, 2025 without any further notice by the applicant. The only notice you're receiving is my announcement here tonight.
Have a good night, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to item number 16, which is the adoption of resolutions from the regular meeting, October 24th, 2024.
First resolution, Daniel Parascandola, which you voted to approve. Mr. Weissman?
Yes.
Mr. Tillery?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Oreggio?
Yes.
Mr. Heyduka?
Yes.
Mr. Ali?
Yes.
Chairman Cahill?
Yes.
Next is JRJ fence installation, which you voted to approve. Mr. Weissman?
Yes.
Mr. Tillery?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Oreggio?
Yes.
Mr. Heyduka?
Yes.
Mr. Ali?
Yes.
Chairman Cahill?
Yes.
Those are all the resolutions I have this evening.
Okay, item number 17, adoption of the minutes from the regular meeting of October 24th, 2024. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item number 18, adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you back here in a couple of
Thanks,
weeks.
everyone. Have a good night.